It had been 14 months since Evan died. The grief didn't come in waves. It came in stillness. In the slow crawl of time through a house where nothing moved, where every drawer held the impression of a life no longer lived. Laura had boxed up most of his clothes. Not all, some things she couldn't part with. His watch. His favorite sweatshirt. A faded photo booth strip from their first trip to the coast. They stayed, anchored in the bedroom like relics in a museum where no one visited. She didn't cry anymore. Not like before. Now it was numbness. Cold and quiet. That morning, she poured coffee into a cracked mug and stared at the drizzle tapping against the kitchen window. The cat, Miso, sat curled on the windowsill, eyes half closed. The house smelled like wet leaves and dust. Her phone buzzed. One notification. The screen lit up with a number that hadn't appeared in over a year. She froze. Evan, mobile. She had never deleted his contact. Every time she tried, something in her hand refused to swipe. The message preview made her chest tighten. I miss you. Remember the park? Her fingers trembled. She opened the message. There was. Plain and unedited. I miss you. Remember the park? Bench under the third maple. Laura stared at it for what felt like an hour. Her mind scrambled for explanations. A prank? A hacker? Some kind of mass text glitch? But the specificity of it burned through the noise. They had a spot. Greenwood Park. Bench under the third maple near the north path. It was where Evan had proposed. Where they'd once sat on a chilly October morning wrapped in a blanket, sharing coffee. Where he told her, not even a month before the accident, if anything happens to me, I'll find a way back to you. At the time, she had smiled and called him dramatic. Laura didn't reply to the message. She put on boots, grabbed a raincoat, and drove. The park was nearly empty. The trees were all shades of rust and fire, their leaves littering the pathways. The air smelled like damp wood and earth. A jogger passed her near the pond, but otherwise, the world was still. She followed the winding path toward the northern edge of the park. Her footsteps slowed when the third maple came into view. The bench was there, flaking paint and all. Someone was sitting on it. Laura's breath caught, but it was only a man in his 60s, wearing a green jacket, staring into the trees. He looked at her, nodded politely, and stood to leave. As he walked away, she noticed something wedged under the bench. A small box, wrapped in waxed paper. She knelt down and pulled it free. Inside was a bundle of photographs and a folded piece of paper, yellowed around the edges. The handwriting was Evan's. No doubt. If you found this, it means something worked. Her knees buckled. She sat on the bench, heart thundering in her ears. I don't know what happens after. But I felt it coming. I had dreams, Laura. The same one every night for months before the crash. You sitting right here, holding this letter. You wore your blue scarf and the rain had just stopped. I saw you from the other side. You couldn't see me, but I was there. I left this box the week before the accident. Just in case. Maybe I'm paranoid, or maybe time is a loop and I'm reaching through it somehow. The photos are from that trip we took to the coast. The one we always said was the beginning of this. I kept them hidden so they'd be fresh for you now. I hope they make you smile. Laura unfolded the photos. Her throat closed. There they were, sun-drenched moments frozen in grainy prints. Evan on the beach. Evan laughing, wind-tossed hair, chasing gulls. The two of them wrapped in a blanket, the same one now folded at the back of her closet. On the last photo, something odd. A shadow. Behind them on the boardwalk. Faint, elongated, humanoid. It wasn't there in her memory. She flipped it over. In Evan's handwriting, not alone. Never alone. Her hands shook. Back in the car, she sat in silence for an hour, unsure what to feel. The phone buzzed again. Evan, mobile. Still here. Look inside the closet. She dropped the phone. Heart pounding, she drove home. Every turn felt unreal. She half expected to wake up. The house was dim when she entered, the sky turning charcoal outside. She walked upstairs to their bedroom. The closet door creaked open. On the floor sat a shoebox she didn't recognize. Inside, a small cassette recorder. A note. Play this when you're ready. Laura sat on the bed. Pressed play. Static. His voice. Soft, familiar, a little strained. Look, if this works, then maybe it's not the end. Maybe the line between us isn't as thick as we thought. I don't know how much I can do. But I'm trying. I'll keep sending what I can. I love you. The tape ended. Silence fell. The air felt different. Not warmer, but somehow less empty. She stared at her phone. No new messages. Not yet. But she waited. And somewhere across the static of existence, something was trying to reach back.